Testing. Okay. Hey, what's up, everyone? Sorry, had a bunch of technical issues today, and so I'm starting a little bit later than I intended. But we will be going over Kurt Vonnegut's Cat's Cradle, chapters 81 through 96. Okay, Azure, good to see you again. Thanks for waiting. I think everything's good. The video and the audio are all working, so we're good. The chat is updated. We're good. Okay, Azure. I'm guessing you've already read it. I'm also looking forward to it. Last stream. The big thing that I remember from last stream is that we got the cat's cradle image just out in the open now. We had Newt draw a painting, a scary looking spider web kind of painting, and it got thrown out. So that painting is maybe forever gone or maybe not. It's maybe still chilling. We have no idea. And in that painting, there's like whatever meaning you kind of want to see. You can see hell, or you can see a sort of nihilism. Kind of like how in a cat's cradle, you see a bunch of strings and you never see a cat or a cradle. Okay, so that's the main thing I really remember from the last stream. We also were at the house of the we were at the house of one of the characters, and I will remember when we actually get there. But which character was that? We were at a very, very fancy house. Uh, Whatever. Once I get started, I'll start remembering what happened. So let's actually just get into the story itself. I'm just backing up a little bit to build up some momentum right now on chapter 80. Philip Castle, there we go, remembering. And then Angela is kind of being pressured to play her clarinet, which is also hilariously random. And then we know that Harrison C. Connors is a terrible husband for her. And I had my own suspicion that Harrison C. Connors, that really handsome husband, is only interested in Angela, who is uh, has no gifts from God to catch a man, uh, with or whatever. Uh, Angela will is almost certainly a love interest for Harrison Connors, mainly because of Ice Nine. I'm assuming that's the idea here. Okay, with that setup, we're into chapter 81. Here we go. A white bride for the son of a Pullman porter. Pullman being the town, I'm guessing. And the son of a Pullman porter, that must be Bokonon. That must be Bokonon. I did not know what was going to come from Angela's clarinet. No one could imagine what was going to come from there. That's kind of a funny sentence. I expected something pathological. The intolerable beauty of a disease. Of the disease. The record was called Cat House Piano, so going back to cats again. It was an unaccompanied piano by Mead Lux Lewis. I'm just gonna see. I'm not gonna listen to it even if it does exist. But ooh, what happened to my? Oh, because I had to restart my computer. Give me a sec. I'm gonna fix this. I'm gonna see if this is a real thing. It is a real thing. Okay. Uh, should I briefly listen to it? Okay, got it. Uh, don't know how the volume was for you. Hopefully the volume was set so it wasn't too loud. Okay, so that I'm just imagining 1950s jazz piano. Here we go. In order to deepen her trance, let Lewis play first. Oh, we're playing off of a phonograph. Okay, here we go. I was reading about Mr. Lewis. He went from violin to piano, boogie woogie. Pullman Porter. Honky Tonk Train Blues. This is a famous. That's actually a famous title. I don't really know the song itself, but I know the title. She was great. She improvised. So I want to know what Pullman Porter is because I had an assumption that this was actually referring to. I assumed that it was referring to Bakonen because of the elevator porter, but maybe a Pullman Porter is a specific thing. Yeah. With regard to the railroads, porters on sleeping cars. Okay. And elevator porter, is that, am I wrong about elevator porter? Is that not a thing? A doorman? Oh, it's just called a doorman, but also a porter in British English. Okay, that's different from the elevator operator. I see. Lift attendant or lift man or girl. I see. Okay. So I was mixing my language. I was mixing my words here. All right. Oh, that's good to know. They played a big part in the civil rights movement. Now I'm just kind of going back and just double checking the Wikipedia article. The Pullman Company ceased its United States operations in 1968. 1968 being assassination of MLK and Bobby Kennedy. Okay, that's 1968. So Pullman Company ceased operations then. Almost exclusively black. Okay, good to know. Something I didn't know about American history there, Pullman Porters. She improvised around the music of the Pullman Porter's son. Liquid lyricism to rasping lechery. Okay, that's a lot. That's a lot to do with a clarinet, by the way. We don't usually think of clarinets as sexy or sex fiendy, which is what a lecher is, right? To the shrill skittishness of a frightened child to a heroin nightmare. That's like an amazing clarinet player. You know, how are you going to get all of that from a clarinet? Her glissandi spoke of heaven and hell and all that lay in between. Schizophrenia or demonic possession. Foaming. I shrieked at Julian Castle. My God. Don't try. Just pretend you understand. Just pretend you understand. That's kind of funny. Tiger gotta hunt, bird gotta fly. Wonder what, why, sleep, land. Tell him you understand. What's that from? Copies are hard to come by. They aren't printed, they're made by hand. Of course, there's no such thing as a completed copy because Bakunin is adding things every day. Religion. See the cat? See the cradle? Oof. Huh. Okay, we're kind of being we're being very direct with this image now, with this symbol now. Let me see. Philip Castle. Trying to figure out their attitudes towards religion now, but anyway. Wait, this whole chapter was called Mary's a White Woman, right? Oh, no. A White Bride. The White Bride is Angela. Got it. Zamakibo. Franklin Hoyniker did not appear. He said that Papa is dying, and these square quotes on Papa is kind of still funny. It's like really odd to see that. Look, I said, why don't I go back to my hotel? You stay right there. Zamakibo. Okay, your destiny. This, this feels a little bit like those kinds of. It feels like a parody of like a line that would come out in like a Hollywood movie, like a Michael Bay movie, like a Transformers movie. It's like, stop right there. What? Why? It's something is calling you. What are you talking about? It's your destiny. Something like that. um, but then, but this feels like a parody of it, actually. It's like, I'd appreciate it if you give me a small hint of what you expects me to do, so I can sort of get set, dude. Zamakibo. What? It's a Bakonanist word. I don't know any Bakonanist words. Julian Castle's there. Yes. Ask him. I've got to go now. I go to Julian Castle. I ask him what Zamakibo means. You want a simple answer or a whole answer? Simple one. Fate. It feels kind of like a parody of it, except it can't be a parody of Transformers because this was published like 50 years before Transformers. So, it's like this sort of mock epic sincerity, I guess, that that we're dealing with. Anyway, just wanted to enact what was going through my mind. Dr. Schlichter, von Koenigswald, dude, that's okay. Well, you know what? Actually, I was just thinking. Vonnegut is making like it seems to me that as a non-German speaker, he's kind of just making up ridiculous names, and maybe he is. But then I just realized German names are a thing in the 1960s consciousness for like the evil scientists and like the evil like the Hitlers, the Nazis, the Hitlers. The Hitler sounds like the backing crew to some singer. Dr. Schlicker and the Hitlers. So anyway, so we are. So I don't know. Are we trying to give vague, sinister Nazi undertones to the chapters here? We'll see. Cancer. Papa is dying of cancer of about everything. That was the effect of drugs. Oh, Newt is there. Oh, this is at Julian Castle's place. I see. He sure did. Okay. I'd kill myself, I think. So they're all speculating, but Julian Castle's pretty sure that Papa's dying of cancer. I'd kill myself, I think, Newt says. Oh, excuse me. McCabe killed himself. McCabe, who acted as the evil in the yin yang partnership with Bakonin. Corporal McCabe was the evil side. Unrelieved villainy, just wore him out. This is cheerful. uh, I once had a yacht too, you know. I don't follow you. Having a yacht is a reason for being more cheerful than most. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Agreed. I've never had a yacht, but you know, I accept. He was in the SS. Well, there we go. Um, we can't get more direct than that. He was a camp physician at Auschwitz, making great strides too, saving lives right and left. Will equal the number of people he let die in 3010. Okay. Um. Yeah. That's a pretty complex joke, you know. Complex and not in terms of the structure of the joke, but just like the feelings that it produces. It's like, oh yeah, they really did kill a lot of people. Um, but also the fact that we're making like an algebra joke, um, like an algebra joke, uh, and we're comparing the number of people that a Nazi killed versus versus the number of people he's saving through penance. Um, it, it's just kind of ridiculous. Okay, moving on. Blackout. 3 hours after supper, Frank still hadn't come home. Julian Castle is now gone. Angela, Newt, and I sat on the cantilevered terrace. Okay, I keep ignoring the word major domo, but it's about time that I learn what a major domo is. It's something to do with some like authority figure, but speaks, makes arrangements, or takes charge for another. The major of a household. I see. Oh, okay, kind of like a chief of staff. Yeah, chief of staff. Okay. Uh, or a butler, I guess, also makes sense. Okay. Yeah, I just didn't even know that. Major domo. Stanley. I forgot who Stanley is, so let me go and just double check. Stanley is the servant of Philip. Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. Not Philip. Frank. Wait, what the heck? Oh, Cat's Cradle is. Sorry, Kindle is not remembering where I am. Okay. So we're about here. Yeah. We're at Frank Hoiniger's house. And Frank's butler major domo is Stanley. Fort Jesus. It's named after Jesus Christ. Sure, why not? Okay. Um, there was a new balloon of light growing quickly to the north. Headlights, a convoy, 5 trucks, machine gunners, dismounting, digging foxholes at Frank's driveway. The next president. It would be hilariously ironic if Frank Hoiniger comes here as the next president because apparently Papa has just died or is about to die. Every light went out and Franklin comes here and they shoot him. A pack of Foma. He made me feel as though my own free will were as irrelevant as the free will of a piggy-wig. So yeah, fate versus free will, a little debate that gets referenced here. Oh, the Stone Angel in Ilium. I totally forgot about that. The thing that we want to gift, we were trying to gift the Stone Angel to the taxi driver. Their father had an identical twin, Rudolf Hoiniger, a music box manufacturer in Zurich. Oh my goodness. Okay. Um, and they had a sister too, Celia. Schnauzers. I forget what schnauzers are. Oh, I was thinking it was a dog. Okay, I'm terrible with dogs. Okay. She sends a Christmas card with a schnauzer on it. It's funny how people in different families turn out. So we have Celia and what's his name? Celia and Rudolph. Oh, I told myself to take notes and I completely forgot about it. For now, I'll just stick it here. And just move them later. So notes on Cat's Cradle. All right, Celia. We have Felix, Celia, and Rudolph is the first generation of the Schweitzers. So Stanley doesn't like the Book of Religion. I guess that's probably part of the lip service. That makes sense. Okay, I get it. It's lip service. We're complaining about religion because we're supposed to be against the religion in this country, and especially because Frank is such a high-ranking, a high-ranking individual. So we have to say bad things about it, but we still have it. It was written by hand, no index, Zamakibo, impossible to find. Baconinus Guni. I'm gonna guess is how that's pronounced, but now I want to know what that word means. The origins of the universe. Cosmogony. He writes that they are lies. His own cosmogony. Two little jugs. Hard to believe I slept at all. Series of bangs and a flood of light. Okay, electricity is coming back. To demonstrate my mastery over my fate, I turned the radio off. Which is a funny sentence. Let's go prove our free will by turning things off. Frank Hoyniker is tinkering with the motor generator. Frank was trying to fix it. He had the heavenly Mona with him. The contents of the jugs were Ice 9. Okay. Wait, did I feel like I missed something. Oh, they thought they were dying because of the banging. I see. Um, and when they thought they were dying, they all picked random things up. So John, thinking he was dying, picked up his passport and billfold and wristwatch. And that's kind of practical, I guess. And Angela and Newt were holding Ice 9. I looked at Mona meltingly. Okay, the cut of my jib. Oh. This is such a memey. People say this all the time in Reddit. Like, people say this all the time. But now I'm trying to figure out, did this not exist before? I'm sure it existed before Kurt Vonnegut, right? Okay, by the shape of the nose, the cut of your jib. Okay, well, I mean, that's good enough. It was before Kurt Vonnegut. Kazoo being kind of a silly sounding, shrill, not shrill, but like a sort of, yeah, hollow, I guess. Hollow sounding instrument. So not very, not very awe inspiring. Like a man with a paper rectum. Man. The paper rectum. What? Oh, okay. Sorry. Dude, that's such a stupid image. Also, my neck hurts a lot today, by the way, so it is cutting in on my energy levels. Um, I kind of injured myself, so my neck has been hurting, and so my classes yesterday suffered a lot, and even my streams today. Oof, uh, it hurts, and it sucks when it hurts. But here we go. Poor Frank had had almost no experience in talking to anyone, having spent a furtive childhood as Secret Agent X9. Hoping to be hearty and persuasive, he said tinny things to me, like, I like the cut of your jib. I want to talk cold turkey to you, man to man. Which is, it is, yeah, like if you're a little bit so, if you're basically autistic, and you're trying to, and you're an American autist, and you're surrounded by people who are convincing you that you have to constantly talk in a sort of high energy, high amplitude, high optimism way all the time, then you will end up talking like this. Um, he took me down to what he called his den. So he went down steps, cut into a cliff. I'm losing track of the paintings. Paintings of Mona. Okay. Well, I mean, it's good enough. Although it's interesting. This is a second set of paintings. I wonder how many times did paintings come out? Because the only painting that I can really recall at this moment is the painting of the cat's cradle. Um, so then you have this one that's extremely abstract, right? 1950s, you're getting abstract expressionism. 1960s, we're getting it written into this book, just a bunch of lines, bunch of scribbles. Then here we have this set of paintings using kindergarten boldness, charcoal, flat clay, earth colors. They look kind of primal, except they're paintings of a little girl, right? And it's the opposite of abstract. It's earthy, it's primal, it's intuitive, it's uh, well, it's representational, um, and it has this clear meaning, right? So I wonder if this is like an intentional, like, juxtaposition of two different types of paintings, because chapters wise, it doesn't come very far from each other. The two paintings. Um, and Mona so far, like all descriptions of her have been pretty not quite sexual, I guess. Not quite sexual, but like this sort of like she's like this sort of erotic figure, this thing that the only thing we feel about her, or the only thing the narrator feels about her, is just like desire. Um, which I was kind of cynically interpreting. I was like, what the heck? But maybe if I interpret that a different way, maybe maybe it's the sort of abstract theorizing that I should be more cynical towards, and this sort of like pure-hearted desire is something that's more innocent, maybe, you know? Um, so that's a potential juxtaposition. I'm not sold on it yet because I don't think I have enough evidence built up around this idea, but it's possible. It seems plausible. Let me know what you think. Uh, do we know the author? Yeah, yeah, right. I think it's the father that painted them. Yeah, we have the German, French, Finnish, Italian, and English, and we have Finn. Who is the Finn? I forgot the Mona's father's name. It's the guy who did the hospital, right? Dude, I'm like losing track of all these names. Um, Mona's father, Ness Raymond. Ness Raymond. I should write that too at some point. Okay, pretty sure it's the father. He looked me in the eye. The effect was dismaying. Frank meant to inspire camaraderie, but he looked like a little owl. I had a friend who used to talk like this, like on purpose, but he did it so much that at some point I felt like it became his default way of talking. Uh, I think you and I could really hit it off. I have no doubt. We both got things that mesh. he just. Uh, I was grateful when he took his hand from my shoulder. He meshed the fingers of his hand like your teeth. We need each other. Do you get my meaning? We're gonna do something together. You're a worldly person. I'm a technical person. Your clothes, the way you talk. I like the cut of your jib. It is very annoying. It's very grating the way he's talking. Oh, Azure. The way I read it, at least, was that it was Mona as a child being painted. And I can go back to it real quick. It's pretty close. Uh, the paintings treated. So treated is the verb that could be a little bit confusing, but the paintings treated the aspects of Mona as a girl. So when I think aspects, I'm just thinking of like angles or features of Mona, um, and treated as in just treated the topic of, right, is the paintings were about. The paintings were about the various features and angles and you know viewpoints of like on Mona herself. That's the way I read that sentence. Oh, Frank! I just accidentally read the last sentence. But anyway, Frank is. It's not Frank that's going to become the president of San Lorenzo. It's the narrator, which is an insane turn. Okay, so Papa Manzano is going to die. Sorry, let me just actually finish the chapter first. But, dude, that's an insane turn. Um, that's right. What would you say to $100,000 a year? What would I have to do for that? Practically nothing. You just drink out of gold goblets every night, eat off of gold plates, and have a palace all your own. What's a job? President of the Republic of San Lorenzo. Hilarious turn. Also, a hilarious setup. Dude, 100,000 a year is a lot of money in the 60s, so hell yeah. Why Frank couldn't be president? Because he's a technical person. He's not used to the public. Who else is there? Nuts. Don't say no until you've really thought about it. No, it's crazy. I'd back you up all the time. I, you what? Maturity, the way I see it, understand it, is knowing your limitations. Laughter is the only maturity. Not good at facing the public. Okay, so um, now we have a direct lineage. Newt and Angela are not really the spiritual successor of Felix. It's actually Franklin, our little nerdy general, who is kind of religious-ish maybe, and doesn't want to be president. Just wants to be the guy who has the ideas and builds stuff with the ideas. Um, Hang on. So if well, first of all, we don't even know if John's going to accept the job, so I'm going to just keep reading. You'll take the job? No. Do you know anyone who might want the job? Duffel is destiny for thousands of people. Stupa is a fog-bound child. Oh, Duffel is the destiny of the people, and the Stufa is the person who is influencing them all. I'm a notorious pervert in the respect of laughing. I laugh at things pervertedly, perversely. People used to make fun of me all the time. You must have imagined that. They used to yell things at me. I didn't imagine that. They used to yell at me, "Hey X9, where are you going?" The wits who had yelled at Frank were surely nicely settled in death-like jobs at General Forge and Foundry, at Alien Power and Light, at the telephone company. These are the normies getting their normie jobs, making fun of the nerds like Frank. And here, by God, was Secret Agent X9, a major general, offering to make me king in a cave curtained by a tropical waterfall. The girls didn't think I knew anything about girls. I was screwing Jack's wife every day. That's how come I fell asleep all the time in high school, and how come I never achieved my full potential. Come on, be President San Lorenzo. You'd be really good at it. Please. That's such a stupid way to ask somebody to be president. Um, so, also, Jack loves Frank, but uh, Frank was having sex with Jack's wife every day. Um, so, yes, we're adding layers to Jack's. Sorry, we're adding layers to Frank's personality in a way that's just like, like I don't even know what to. Um, like these characters are just it's yeah, these characters kind of ride the boundary between ridiculous and realistic, because I feel like that could be a real person, so it doesn't ever leave the realm of it. Like, I would never say that could never happen with these kinds of stories. The human side, obviously, the Ice Nine and all that stuff is, I mean, things get kind of fictional, but like, I could imagine a nerd, like an uber nerd, kids making fun of him, calling them Agent X9 as like a joke, getting bullied, but actually having this little hideaway at the auto shop where he builds a little town out of a little miniature town, as like using his little engineering brain, but is also sleeping with the wife of the owner. It's like not totally impossible. you know, it's fantastical, but it's within the realm of possibility. So it's like I laugh, but it's like like I laugh and I also hesitate at the same time. Um, Chapter 90. Here we go. Oof, my neck is still hurting a lot. Let me change my posture. Ugh, dude. Okay. 6 more chapters. Here we go. 7, including this one. So we're kind of tripping through memory right now. The time of night, the cave, the waterfall, the stone angel. Okay, stone angel is in the past. And 250,000 cigarettes and 3,000 quarts of booze and 2 wives and no wife. And no love waiting for me anywhere. All of this is, that line is referring to the first chapter. And the listless life of an stained hack. I don't remember that line. Like this is a random sample of things from the past, from the past 90 chapters. All of these things conspire to form one cosmic vindit, that God was running my life, and inwardly I saruned, which is to say I acquiesced to my vindit. I forgot vindit. This is not fate. This is like a mission or something like that. Vindit is a Bakononist word meaning a sudden, very personal shove in the direction of Bakononism. So this is like the calling. There we go. I agreed inwardly to become the next president. Outwardly, I was still suspicious. There isn't. There never has been. Nobody objects to anything. There's kind of a catch. Well, it really isn't a catch. It would be a good idea. You ought to marry Mona. If she'd have me, she'd have you. All you have to do is ask her. Why should she say yes? In the books of Bakonon, she'll marry the next president. So, so you know what's kind of smart? Kurt Vonnegut had John mystically accept his vindit, just like these like memories of everything in his life just sort of like coalescing into this moment where like, okay, I'm gonna be president, but outwardly he's still asking. There must be some sort of issue, so he's this is like the final stage of making a big purchase, when you start reading over the contract and making sure there's nothing wrong. Like everything verbally that was spoken is, you get you like the general idea, but now you're just looking through the contract to make sure there's nothing unforeseen. And he's kind of in that contractual phase where he's mentally prepared to accept the deal. And in the contract, he discovers he's going to get the one love that has been randomly driving his his actions for like the last 90 chapters with literally no reason other than she's beautiful, right? But the one thing that he's wanted, the one motivation that we know that he's wanted, he's going to get it as a freebie. um, Insane. um, Very unexpected. So good for him, I guess. But still, Mona is not a real person yet. She's just this sort of like erotic sexual figure, and I don't know what to do with it. I don't really know what to feel about her. Yeah, the vibe of this story is definitely a big part of this story's experience. Um, this sort of like tongue in cheek. Yeah, it's basically like tongue in cheek masterclass. We're sort of just telling a story and not being serious about it. But there is still a sort of serious undertone because you can identify connections to the real world as you read it, but you're just sort of like, huh, can't believe that's happening. Uh, uh, and also remembering the reality of 1960s America at the same time. So it's a sort of kind of layered experience, through Kurt Vonnegut's tone, through the vibe that he's creating. Chapter 91. Now we're alone in the cave surrounded by paintings of her. Her gown was diaphanous, azure, gossamer. All else was shaped by Mona herself. Her breasts were like pomegranates, or what you will, but nothing like, but nothing so much as a, but like nothing so much as a young woman's breasts. Her scanty sandals were gold. How do you do? Blood boiled. It is not possible to make a mistake, she said. I responded with a feverish discussion of whether it's possible to make a mistake or not, going straight into debate mode. The world's champion mistake maker, do you have any idea what Frank just said to me? Bokumaru would hope she's dude. Like I don't know how to feel about this character and this interaction right now. She's like clearly such an object. Um, she's clearly just like a fantasy. She's a fantasy. Uh, like this submissive, young, sumptuous, sexual, exotic, half Finnish, half wait, what? I don't even know. Half local, you know? Like I don't even know what to how do I even describe her? She's just this sexual object right now. And then now she's offering to like touch feet. Um Bro, this is like and it's like it's like prophesied. It's prophesied that the president gets to have her, you know. It's like so there's a bit of power fantasy as well there. Um I don't know how to feel about this right now. We'll see. I trust Kurt Vonnegut to do something with this to make it. I don't know if he'll do enough for me to feel comfortable, but I can see Kurt Vonnegut kind of cutting this down to some extent. But I do feel like in the 1960s, the male gaze will still sort of override. So, I don't know. Let's go. Let's just see what happens. Take off your shoes, she commanded. I am a man of the world. I've had sex with more than 53 women, and I have seen women undress themselves in every way that can be done. And yet, the one woman who made me groan involuntarily did no more than remove her sandals. So basically, he becomes religious because of uh, this like sexual experience. Got it. I guess everyone would be pretty religious if we had like quasi-sexual. Like if we could just like touch feet with beautiful women, I'm sure we would join that religion. It's so, dude. Uh, yeah, so I should just start a cult. Recruit some beautiful women first. That is the that is the instruction manual. Okay, here we go. Chapter 92. The poet's celebration of his first Bokumaru. These are not Bakonen's words. They are mine. I am the poet. I am John the poet. Sweet wraith, invisible mist of something. I am my soul, wraith, lovesick, or along alone. So, there, dude, this it's actually a little hard for me to explain why I'm laughing. Um, Part of it, like, but I'll explain one thing. The one thing that's stupid is he is really using archaic language over long, woodsed. Um, so it's just like taking it to a certain level of ridiculousness. Um, on top of that, there's these self interruptions. I am my soul, and then this word wraith is such a it's like not it's not a, it's not a pretty word at all. So I'm trying to figure out. Okay, this I knew. That's it. Let's just move on. Long have I advised thee ill as to where two souls might tryst. My souls, my souls, my soul, my soul. Oh, it's so cringe. Go there, sweet soul, be kissed. It's so cringe. It was really bad. Oh my god, that was so bad. But you can also imagine. Oh, but it is so. I don't know why that's so funny. It's hard to explain. The dude is having his fantasy, his sexual fantasy, his power fantasy just sort of play out. And he's touching feet with his girl who is completely submissive to him. And he writes this horrible poem. And he calls himself the Poet's Celebration. He calls this poem the Poet's Celebration of his first Bokumaru. How I almost lost my Mona. Immediately, do you find it easier to talk to me now? I love you. I love you, she said simply. Oh, what a fool Frank was to give you up. He did not love me. He was going to marry me only because Papa wanted him to. He loves another. He told you? Mona? Many. I love everyone. As much as me? I got off the floor, sat in a chair, started putting my shoes and socks back on because he's hurt. I suppose you perform. You do what we just did with other people? Bokumaru? Yes. Of course. I don't want you to do it with anybody. Her promiscuity, she adored it. I make people happy. Love is good, not bad. My voice had a metallic authority. I was becoming a ruler. I suppose there was plenty of Bokomaruing in those days. Oh, yes. You aren't to see him anymore either, is that clear? No. No? I will not marry a Sinwat. Goodbye. He stopped becoming a ruler because his clearly he's a simp. I mean, he's gonna do what she wants. She actually has a conviction. She's gonna touch feet with everybody. Okay, you're not gonna stop her. I want it. Good. I love you, and I love you. I said. Okay. Um, that is such a funny. I mean, obviously the word simp, it being what it is, a very new term. It's kind of referring to a different sort of phenomenon, but it is sort of proto simp, which has happened. He has all the authority in the world now, in this world, but he can't stop her. He will completely bend to her will. Uh, Chapter 94. Here we go. I became betrothed. Papa wasn't dead yet. I kissed her sacredly. She went to sacred sleep. Wait, I don't know this word. It's an interesting. Cetacean? Cetacean. Wait, cetacean meaning what? Marine mammal. Oh, okay, I see. It was in the sunrise that the cetacean, the whale like, the dolphin like majesty of the highest mountain on the island, made itself known to me. It was a fearful hump, a whale, a stone plug for a peak. In scale with a whale, the plug might have been the stump of a snapped harpoon. Well, that's kind of sad. And it seems so unrelated to the rest of the mountain. He said it was a natural formation. It doesn't look natural. It doesn't look very tough to climb, save for that little plug. Nobody's felt like climbing it. Maybe I'll climb it. Just one thing. Man. Just man. Only man is sacred. So this feels like a sort of humanist, not critique per se, but like a humanist reinvention of religion. Does it change my view of Mona's character at all now that she rebuffs the narrator? Yeah, actually it does. It took me a while to process that, but yes, it does. Before, she was simply a sexual object from the narrator's point of view, and I had no idea what the internal operation of Mona herself was, right? like what are her motivations, what are her like goals, or what's her thought process. We had none of that until just now. Now we know that she's sort of a saint. She just happens to be sexy. Um, and so now she's not really a human. Like we don't fully flesh out her interior, so like her inner life. But to be fair, Kurt Vonnegut doesn't really flesh out the inner life of anyone. He takes characters, um, builds ridiculous backstories for all of them, and then just has them interact. Uh, the closest the closest we get to an inner life is Jonah John himself. And Jonah John, his only inner life is wanting Mona right now. I mean, there's really not much else besides that, right? Um, it's not like it's not really like a Tolstoy or like or like a Shakespearean tragedy. We're not really observing the inner life of these characters that much. So instead, what Mona is kind of a she has a sort of symbolic resonance with the idea of religion. But this idea of religion is a very perverse idea of religion. It's a very unusual idea of religion. So she kind of like kind of comically, kind of ironically, kind of hard. It's really hard to box her in, but like she sort of like helps like flesh out this idea of religion in this story, and um, and yeah, it all and that interpretation has only come so far because uh, this like sort of extreme submission, right? This sort of which plays into the power fantasy of boys, especially insecure boys who are who've never had a woman, right? They like this sort of like extreme submission gets sort of like sublimated into a sort of religious meaning. So the conclusion hasn't come out yet. I'm still processing what to think about her, but that definitely turned away from the initial just like Mona as sexual object um, path that we were going down on. Chapter 95, here we go. Castle. The castle? Is this the castle of the king or the president? The wish of Tumbumwa, emperor. Escaped slave. In a child's picture book. Okay. A hook for Bakonin himself. My people would prosper. Fata Morgana, a mirage. Okay, he's having idealistic projections of what kind of ruler he will be. Bell, book, and chicken in a hat box. The heck is a hat box? A box for a hat? Oh, what? Oh, yeah. I mean, I guess like a. So this is like the magician's trick. A bunny, like a bunny will come out of the hat. I guess is that the reference? But it's a bell and a book and a chicken. Excuse me. I sort of just zoned out. I think I was just thinking about my. I think I was just thinking about the rest of my day schedule. So sorry, I'm gonna refocus. Starting now. We couldn't see Papa. Okay, so we're at the castle. That's where Papa is. Got it. The doctor's there and said we'd have to wait. So we're in the ante room. There's a card table, no decorations. Iron rings. It looks like a torture chamber. It used to be a torture chamber. There was a guard, a Christian minister, a hat box with holes drilled in it, and a Bible, and a butcher knife. Okay, which is kind of sinister. Um, he told me there was a live chicken in the hat box, a tranquilized chicken. Dr. Vox Humana, Dr. Human Voice. He was named after an organ stop that had struck. That is, wait, an organ stop? Okay. Like one of those. Yeah, wait. Is a component of a pipe organ that emits pressurized air. It's like a not a button, but like a thing that you handle, right? Like you um he was named after an organ, like a part of an organ that flew when the cathedral was dynamited. Okay. Um so did his mother die? The Western Hemisphere University of the Bible of Little Rock, Arkansas. It's a ridiculous university name. He made contact with the university through a classified ad in Popular Mechanics. Also ridiculous. He said that the motto of the university had become his own. The motto, and that it explained the chicken and the butcher knife. Make religion live. So if I am going to be a Christian under these conditions, I have to make up a lot of new stuff. If ye bam gong the okay, I'm not gonna say that out loud. Too hard. Dr. Schlichter came out of Papa's looking very German, whatever that means. You can see Papa now. We won't tire him. If you could kill him, I think he'd be grateful. Okay, so we get this minister, but we don't have a name for this minister, right? Okay. We do get a name for the doctor, but not for the minister. And we're getting close to the end of the story, so we're not really that much closer to Ice Nine. Like nothing has really happened in Ice Nine other than it got mentioned because there was a moment when the electricity was cut out and Franklin Hoyniker solved the electricity problem by repairing the generator, and it was making a lot of noise, and people thought they were gonna die. So Newt and Angela had a tumbler, or not a tumbler, but some sort of tumbler-like thing with their Ice Nine in it, and that was it. I mean, we did nothing else with it, and now we're only like I think we're like more than 3/4 of the way to the end, and nothing has really happened other than the siblings have it. Meanwhile, something huge has happened to the narrator himself, and up until this point, I really thought the narrator was going to be mostly just our eyes on the scene. You know what I mean? Um, kind of like I think Nick was the name in Great Gatsby. The narrator is a character in the story, but is largely just sort of out of the action. There's some interactions with Nick and the other characters, with Daisy, whatever, he chats and stuff like that. But but the but Nick, if that's the correct name, mostly stays away from the tragedy that takes place in The Great Gatsby. So I kind of expected that to happen with our John here as well. I didn't really expect him to take such a central role in the story, but now he's going to become president of San Lorenzo. So, uh, what is going on? Like, I don't even like what, uh, like, what can even happen at this point? You know what I mean? Um, I already said this a couple times the last two or three streams. Like, I don't think the plot is really the point of the story. Um, so I will, uh, like, I don't think it's important for me to get the plot correct, but I still think it's a valuable exercise to just try to see what might happen, to sort of forecast what might happen. So I guess the sort of reasonable ending that I imagine, we have we have John. He's trying to be a benevolent president. We have Franklin, who is supporting him, but maybe Franklin is supporting him with sinister ulterior motives, because Franklin sees that Jonah can be used for his purposes, which is to keep doing research on the Ice Nine and to use it for some reason. What is the reason they would use it for? They would use it to, because what can you do with Ice Nine? You can freeze the entire world. Um, Meanwhile, Angela is married to some spy like dude, so there's some exposure there. Meanwhile, oh, there's so many characters. Meanwhile, there's the Baconinists of the island and Mona. Oh, this is dizzying. Like, it is hard for me to even imagine what might happen. I feel like there should be some sort of comical ending where, um, not by intention, not by design, more or less by accident, Jonah saves the world. But that's the general shape of the ending, and I literally, like, what kind of accident, what kind of idiocy will end up with Jonah saving the world? I have no idea, but it has to feel ridiculous, and I can see that making sense thematically with this story, because this story talks about this story is kind of about the apocalypse that we can bring on ourselves, you know, the horrible things that can happen, but we just sort of laugh at it, uh, and we're sort of getting lucky. Um, and by having the heroes sort of accidentally save us all, if anything, it would emphasize how precarious our world situation is. That the H bomb could go off at any moment. We wouldn't really know what saves us or what doesn't save us. Thematically, at least that makes sense to me as a prediction for the ending, because I think next week will be when I finish this story. Um, so that makes some sense, but there's too many characters, and there's too much misdirection. I just don't know. I have no plausible path. I have no plausible path from what I just from where we are in the story, from chapter 96 to the ending that I'm foreseeing. It's just, it's just there's too many characters, too many ways for this to happen. So I'll just sit in for the ride. Dr. Vox Humana. Yes, that was the name of the minister. Sorry, I that was just like a brain fart. I completely just forgot. Thank you. And then yeah, Ishmael. It's funny. I actually thought of Ishmael too when I was mentioning Nick, and I should have because I should have been thinking about Ishmael because of the first line of the story. But yeah, Ishmael also does mostly sit out of the action in Moby Dick. I mean, it's been a long time since read Moby Dick, so I might be misremembering. But I don't think Ishmael was that big of an active participant in the story itself. So so that would um, that book could kind of group itself with The Great Gatsby and my expectation for this story. But yeah, but Jonah's definitely becoming a hero of some sort now. So uh, kind of kind of Cervantes. Um, Dude, what's the Cervantes hero? Huh? How come my? Oh, there we go. Don Juan. How come I can't remember? How come I can't remember name Don Quixote? There we go. Don Juan is a womanizer. It's the different idea. Okay, so I'm kind of thinking like a Don Quixote kind of hero. Even though I don't know this story, I just know it's supposed to be kind of like an idiot that ends up being a hero. It's kind of the idea I'm going with as far as my um, prediction for the rest of the story. Okay, so that's just me for chapter 96. One more week and we're done with the story. Azure, you've been great. Really good to have you, and really good to have you read it along with me and share your thoughts, and also to lend your memory of things to me because sometimes my memory fails. All right, so have a good week, and I'll see you in the next one. Until then, keep on learning, keep on growing. Peace.